Good afternoon and welcome all. As a part of Tibet Awareness Talk series, today we have Ms. Kalden Tsomo. She will be speaking on the topic enforced disappearance of 11 Panchen Lama, Gendhun, Choekyi Nyima. And before I hand over the mic to her, I would like to give a brief introduction of her. Ms. Kalden Tsomo was born and brought up in India. Her parents were forced to escape to India following brutal and illegal occupation of Tibet by Chinese communist regime in 1959. After graduating from the University of Madras, she joined CTA, Central Tibetan Administration, in June 2011. Today she is serving as the Human Rights Officer for the Department of Information and International Relations. She has attended and addressed various international human rights conferences, including Geneva Summit for Human Rights and United Nations Human Rights Council sessions. So that was a brief information about her. And before I hand over the mic to her, I would like to also inform you that we'll have 10-20 minutes of question answer session, and you can clear your doubts and questions during that time. So please.
A very good afternoon to all, and thank you Tibet Museum for giving me this opportunity, and I thank you all for joining with us today. I'm asked to speak about the case of the enforced disappearance of the 11 Panchen Lama, Kalden Nyima. Before I speak about the said topic, I would like to share you very brief information about Tibet and its current situation. Let me very clear over here that Tibet, I refer to Tibet, consists of all three traditional provinces, that is Kham, Amdo and Uzang. And you should not be confused with Tibet today China refers or propagate. China refers Tibet as only so-called Tibet Autonomous Region, which is only half of the land mass of the traditional Tibet provinces. Today, under Chinese rule, Tibet is divided and ruled under different administrative units. So Tibet is divided as so-called Tibet Autonomous Region, and then many traditional Tibetan provinces are incorporated into China's provinces of Qinghai, Sichuan, Gansu, and Yunnan. So whenever you come across information related to Tibet, or whenever we're speaking about Tibet, I would say an immediate clarification you should have is Tibet, which Tibet? I mean, is he or she is referring Tibet, the traditional Tibet that is consists of all three provinces, Kham, Amdo, and Uzang, or only Tibet Autonomous Region? Many information coming from China, they refer Tibet as only Tibet Autonomous Region. Now, if you ask what had happened to Tibet and Tibetan people during or after Chinese invasion, each and every Tibetan family will have a different painful story to share. If you ask me what is happening in Tibet today, I would quote the final note of Sonam and Chopakya, who died after self-immolation protests in 2012. In their final note, they said that the pain of not enjoying human rights is far greater than the pain of self-immolation. Of course, Tibetan struggle is much far beyond human rights issue. Tibetan struggle is not only about human rights issue. Given today's topic, I'll share you what's happening inside Tibet from human rights perspective. Despite various international human rights protection mechanisms, including UN treaties and conventions on human rights, large number of people continue to suffer, including Tibetan, and they face a severe threat for exercising their basic rights. However, Tibetans continue to go for their basic rights, even at the cost of their life. Arbitrary detention, sentencing, interrogation, and tortures of Tibetan have become common in Tibet today. And Tibetan petitions, street protests, and demonstrations against the denial of their basic rights bring more of arrests, prison sentence, and torture in Tibet. Because of that, because of the absence of space to take conventional form of protest, today Tibetans are resorting to self-immolation protests. They are burning themselves alive and calling for rights to live as a human, to live as with human dignity. Tibetan monks and nuns, fathers and mothers, students and intellectuals, nomads and farmers, people from all walks of life across the Tibetan plateau have self-immolated. Choekyi, a mother of young 4 children, died after self-immolation protests in 2012. Choekyi, a Tibetan high school girl in my age, died after self-immolation and calling for freedom to use Tibetan language. Just a week ago, Tenzin Gyatso, a father of 4 young children, died after self-immolation protests. Since 2009, 139 Tibetans have burned themselves alive. And what are they asking for? All of them have called for the return of His Holiness the Dalai Lama to Tibet and freedom in Tibet. Well, how is China or how is Chinese authorities responding to the self-immolation protests? The Chinese authorities, instead of understanding or addressing the grievances of the self-immolation protests or the self-immolated grievances, the authorities responded with further repressive policies, and they criminalize friends, partners, and relatives of the self-immolators. We have a list of more than 30 Tibetans who have been sentenced to different prison terms, and their alleged crime is having link with self-immolation protests or having link with the self-immolators. So this is what is happening in Tibet today. Unfortunately, many information goes unreported. Coming back to today's topic, the enforced disappearance of the Panchen Lama. Let's see who is Panchen Lama. And we have information brochures and many have got it. So the Panchen Lama is considered to be one of the most revered religious leaders of Tibet. His Holiness the Dalai Lama and the Panchen Lama, they share a very special spiritual relation, and Tibetans normally refer their relationship as the sun and the moon of the Tibetan Buddhist firmament. The relationship between His Holiness the Dalai Lama and the Panchen Lama is unique since both are not only involved in search of others' reincarnation, but also assumes interchangeable role as disciples and teachers to each other. And the Panchen Lama and His Holiness the Dalai Lama, they play a very significant role not only in their life, but also contributed largely for the spiritual well-being of Tibetan, socio-economic and political lives of Tibetan people. The 10 Panchen Lama in particular contributed very important role in preservation of Tibetan culture and identity in 1960s when China is ruling Tibet and His Holiness is in exile. So the Panchen Lama in 1962, the 10 Panchen Lama, he presented a petition which is known as 70,000 character petition. So the petition he had presented to the Chinese leader, including Mao Zedong, is a detailed and most comprehensive critics of Chinese rule in Tibet. So because of the petition, he was publicly humiliated, subjected to severe sterilization, and he spent 14 years in prison. Yet, years of public humiliation and sterilization did not stop him to speak against the Chinese misrule in Tibet. In 1982, in his address to monks and Tibetan in Shikaze, he openly criticized Chinese misrule in Tibet, and he stated that Chinese rule in Tibet have brought more destruction than the benefit to the Tibetan people. 5 days after delivering this intense criticism of Chinese rule in Tibet, he was found dead. So he was only 51 years old at that time, and no one knows the causes of the death. Following sudden and mysterious death of the Panchen Lama, His Holiness the 14th Dalai Lama recognized a 6-year-old boy, Gendhun Choekyi Nyima, as the reincarnation of the 10th Panchen Lama on 14 May 1995. 3 days after the announcement, 3 days after he was publicly announced as the reincarnation of 10th Panchen Lama, Chinese authorities abducted him and his family, and we do not know whereabouts and well-being of them. So for 20 years now, their whereabouts remain unknown. China, and officially, atheist Communist Party, replaced another boy, another 6-year-old boy, as their Panchen Lama. So today, there are 2 Panchen Lama. One, recognized, accepted, and respected by all Tibetan people, but unfortunately we do not know his whereabouts, his well-being. He hasn't been seen in public for 20 years now. And another appointed or installed by the Chinese government to meet their political ends. Many Tibetan writers and singers were imprisoned for writing articles and singing songs for the release of the Panchen Lama. And many self-immolatives have called for the release, as well as at least to reveal information about his well-being. But Chinese government continues to fail to reveal information about his well-being and whereabouts. So in the document, we have documented a detailed events related to the enforced disappearance of the 11th Panchen Lama. So kindly have a look if you would like to know more about it, and also the information is available online if you log into www.solitaritytibet.in. So in conclusion, what I would like to say is that the enforced disappearance of the 11th Panchen Lama is a peculiar case where China or the Chinese authorities has violated not only the fundamental rights of the Panchen Lama, but also rights of the Tibetan people collectively. Thank you very much. So I keep this my talk as brief as possible so that you will not be bored. And I'm very much open and happy to have any comments or questions, and I'll answer as much as I know. Thank you. And I'm very happy to introduce my colleague, Ms. Sonam. So we are working together in the human rights desk of the DIR. So I kept my talk very brief because I expect to have more discussion, having more interaction would be more interesting. That's why I kept it very short. Have you since no one is asking. Question. Have you have any of you been to Tibet? We do. So can you share what you have seen or what you have witnessed?
Well, I was there, gosh, about 11 years ago. It was a long time now. And I only stayed in Lhasa because I got altitude sickness and other bad things. So I only had about 8 days. And I spent my time around the Jokon. But what I did see then was a lot of spies around, and also the beginning of the destruction of the Tibetan buildings, the 400-year-old, timber buildings. So they were starting to bulldoze those, and since then they've, taken over everything, destroyed everything. But I didn't have any interaction with any Chinese or anything like that. But a lot of police presence and spies everywhere. It's very different now. It's much worse now.
Any interaction with Tibetan people?
Yeah, I smuggled in 30 pictures of the Dalai Lama, and I wasn't sure how I was going to handle them, what was going to happen if they got found. And I met this American doctor who's in the room right next to me, and she comes every 6 months to work with Tibetan children. And so I said, well, you'll know what to do with these photos. And she took me to a Tibetan restaurant run by a woman, an older woman, and we stuffed the photos into an umbrella, a foldable umbrella, wrapped that in a kata, and then went to visit her at her house. And that's how we transferred those photos. So even in this lady's courtyard, while the three of us were talking, visiting, there was a Chinese man standing there, listening to everything. And we had to pretend he wasn't there. So finally we went inside, so he couldn't follow us inside. But otherwise, I did go to a school, to a Tibetan school, a small Tibetan school. But otherwise, I just kept doing the Kora around the Jokon and going into the Jokon temple and spent a lot of time there.
Okay, so I want to share very brief, not about directly related to Tibet, but you all might be wondering what Central Tibet administration is trying to do, or what our efforts to resolve the Tibet issue at the early. So what I would like to share you is that the Central Tibetan administration position on the policy to save the Tibetan or to resolve the Tibet issue, we have adopted a political policy called middle way policy. Any of you have heard about it? You? Okay. So with that policy, what we are trying to do is to dialogue with China, and the immediate objective or immediate goal to have this policy is to preserve our Tibetan cultural identity at the earliest before it is completely destroyed or assimilated by the Chinese policies. So at the moment, our top priority is to preserve our Tibetan cultural identity, which is based on Tibetan Buddhism. So having that as our priority or vision, so since 2002, having lost contact with Chinese delegates and envoys, 2002 we have resumed a dialogue with Chinese representative, and that we had 10 rounds of dialogue, but with not complete tangible results, but still we are trying and urging all the international community to press China to enter into dialogue with Chinese and Tibetan representative to resolve the Tibet issue at the earliest.
Yeah. The Chinese, we know, are playing a waiting game. The Chinese think that if they just wait it out, once His Holiness isn't here, then what? When His Holiness passes away. We all have the same question. What happens?
Yeah.
What happens next? Right?
Yeah.
Anybody have? Is anybody discussing this?
No, so that is a big question.
Yeah.
What will happen? So if Tibetan or if Chinese fail to reveal the information about Panchen Lama, and what about the reincarnation 15th Dalai Lama? Because since they are, His Holiness the Dalai Lama and the Panchen Lama are very involved in the search of reincarnation of each other. So I don't have an answer for this, but in September 2011, His Holiness the Dalai Lama has issued a statement on reincarnation, on the 15th Dalai Lama's reincarnation. Because in 2007, China has issued Order Number 5, that is another policies to control the reincarnation and gain complete control over the Tibetan. So in 2007, China's Order Number 5, they say that reincarnation, all the reincarnation of lamas and dogus should be approved. So all the Tibetan Buddhist lamas and dogus should or must be approved by the Communist Party. So obviously it's a political tool to gain control over Tibet. So in 2011 in September, His Holiness issued a statement. If you see that statement, His Holiness has said that he will leave a clear written instruction regarding his next Panchen Lama once he reaches at age about 90 years. When he reaches around 90 years, he will leave a clear written instruction about his reincarnation. No one can, I have a statement somewhere, so if you see in the online, complete statement is available in His Holiness website. So in that statement he said that no reincarnation or no recognition or acceptance should be given to a candidate chosen for a political ends by anyone, including People's Republic of China. So in that statement he has clearly stated that. So he will leave a clear written instruction. So just have a look and just see the statement.
I have a question which has more linked with Panchen Lama. What do you think about doing tourism in Tibet as foreigners?
We encourage tourism in Tibet, but a tourism with a wise knowledge, should be able to use his tourism or to use his freedom, his or her freedom, to see the real situation. Because as a tourism, it's possible for them to see what's actually happening inside Tibet, but also you should be very careful. So we encourage tourism, but having a complete information about Tibet, and don't be fall under the distorted information of China. Thank you.
Is there any indication of what state the 10th Panchen Lama might be in now, if he was to return? Whether his education and what his views on Tibet and China's situation would be, and
And 11 Panchen Lama.
of the 10th Panchen Lama.
He died.
Oh,
He
sorry, I mean the 11th. Yeah, the 11th, the current Panchen Lama.
So I'm sorry, I didn't get it.
What kind of, is there any indication at all in what?
No, we have no information at all.
Okay.
And if you see the documents we have put over there, China, we have urged, not only some Tibetan administration, also different groups of international organizations have urged at least to verify his birthday, but China hasn't allowed.
I have a question about the burnings. I come from the Netherlands and I get some information from the Tibetan organization there. that the Dalai Lama will not be very glad about the burnings because it has not so many pressure on the Chinese and the people are dying. So is it true that he has asked to stop the burnings?
Yeah.
Yeah, okay.
So in the meantime, what I would like to share is China is saying that.
So, His Holiness and Central Tibetan Administration has urged or appealed Tibetans not to resort to self-immolation protests. But despite numbers of appeal, they continue. And what China is saying is that the instigators, or His Holiness Dalai Lamas and the exile group, they are instigating the self-immolation protests. If this is true, if His Holiness Dalai Lama has instigated or encouraged the self-immolation protest, I would say all the Tibetans inside Tibet will boom. Right.
Yeah.
Good point.
Okay. No.
Where is the Chinese appointed Panchen Lama, and who is responsible for his education?
Of course, the Chinese Communist Party, and in recent times, the Chinese Communist Party is putting all efforts to raise his profile, and all Tibetans in monastery, particularly Tashinhobo in Shikaje, that is the monastery of the Panchen Lama, and he is the monastery, monks in the monasteries, they are forced to invite him and receive him. And we have information received from Tibet saying that the Chinese appointed Panchen Lama is coming to our monastery, and we are forced to receive him. So we are receiving him not from our heart.
Just to add what she just said, this year we celebrated Tibet International Solidarity Day, commemorating the 20th anniversary of him gone missing, the 11th Panchen Lama. When we were following the social networking sites and at the news channels, it's interesting to note that while we're promoting this, while we're creating awareness about the 11th Panchen Lama, Choekyi Nyima, the Chinese are also trying to promote their Panchen Lama as well in the same social networking site. Just one that I noticed.
Is it possible to communicate with your relatives who lives in Tibet or
Relatives of the Panchen. You mean the contact with Tibetan inside Tibet?
Is it possible to communicate, or China?
Yeah, people do have a contact through social medias, but very, very careful. All they can share information is what you are doing and all not political related, but to a certain areas, not inside Tibet Autonomous Region. People from Kamanamdo, I heard that they have a contact, but with a very limited, what I should say, we should be very careful on what to say and what not to say. Thank you very much for joining with us.
Thank you, Kalden Tsomo, for your brief, well-researched and informative presentation. As a mark of respect and thank you, I would like to request Mr. Tashipin, the director of the Tibet Museum, to offer a scarf to Ms. Kalden Tsomo.
Thank you so much. And before you all leave, what I would like to share is that people like me, born in exile, I'm a Tibetan, but I have never seen Tibet. That's my fate. And like me, there are so many Tibetans. But what we consider ourselves is we have a rights. Rights for those who are denied, including Tibetan people inside Tibet. Thank you so much.
Please join us for a cup of juice.